Beep, 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 brr. It's absolutely freezing. What's going on? Do better, right? It's bloody cold. It's absolutely freezing here, right? Okay? And I'm not giving those energy swine any of my money. I'll just do the bare minimum. Lights, computer, PlayStation, television. Oh yeah, a microwave, a freezer. Yeah, swine. Right now. As soon as I woke up this morning, angry at every energy company in the country, I've got a warm cup of tea just to keep me going. Do you like the hat? Last time I wore this hat, I was in the Arctic. I think it's the Arctic. Which one's up? Anyway, I was in the Arctic. I'd gone to, Norway. I went to see the fjords. I was pounding for the fjords, right? Okay, so I went to see the fjords. It's absolutely amazing. A very good friend of mine took me. The most extraordinary of things was we went to the furthest place you can go before you go from Norway into the Arctic, called Tromsø. Fantastic place, wonderful military history in regards to the war. Fascinating to have a look at that. And we walked up the last road before you sort of hit the Arctic tundra. It was very exciting, and I was wrapped up, very similar to what I am now. And I was most extraordinary. We got to the final corner of the final road in civilization, and there was a spar on it. Don't you love spar? Anyway, enough about rattling on about nonsense. Good morning, and hello. You can tell it's cold because there's a brass monkey outside looking for a welder. Okay, all right. I know it's not that good, but it's early. Okay, so here we go. Now, I thought it might be fun, so I've done a Substack, okay? Just with a few ideas on it for moving forward. I think I've done this before somewhere in a podcast or something, but it was worth revisiting, so let's revisit it. On ideas of what a company can do if it finds itself in the milieu of critical social justice, gender ideology, queer theory, critical race theory, and all the cobblers you and I spend so much time worrying about and dealing with. So I put it together and said, here's a few ideas on moving forward. I'm not a legal bod, right? So I'm just going, how can we avoid legals? How can we avoid lawfare? How can we avoid getting ourselves in trouble? So this might be useful to you. You might think of some more even, but do your own work, caveat emptor and all that nonsense. And this is what I think a full audit of an organisation ought to start looking like if they're going to get beyond all this nonsense and get back to reality. So you might, want to send this to an HR person. Let's see if we can rattle the cages of the bureaucratic nitwits. So here we go, right? So there's a list. I'm going to go through them. I would say that in the light of Bailey, Forstater, and the free speech bill that's coming in Parliament for the universities, that we're now in a situation where you think you're going to go beyond equality law, which is what they've been doing, going beyond equality law, it is now untenable to do so. And you're going to get your ass kicked in front of a magistrate or judge. So you might want to think about these things, right? As a matter of course, the removal of the presence of gender ideology, queer theory and critical race theory should be your immediate concern to avoid possible legal action. I would include environmentalism in that. So you have to have a look at that. Just be careful about that one. I strongly advise those in organisations, schools and businesses to consider taking the following action as soon as possible. Okay? So what I'm saying is, here's a few ideas you might want to consider before you get your ass kicked in court. So, let's go. Cease using and remove unconscious bias training, social emotional learning, or whatever it is being reframed in as in your institution that implies any bias that is unproven and assumed in its existence. What do they think they're doing, poking around in your psyche anyway? It's unbelievably intrusive of businesses to think they can do that in organisations. Right, again, you need to look at any similar course that uses psychologically and behaviourist methods to invade people's private thoughts. Get it gone, because you're going to get in trouble. Right, any reference to intersex or queer from all our organisational materials, as these terms are derogatory to a significant number of people, some of whom have a protected characteristic. Next, any use of the collective noun trans. The protected characteristic is gender reassignment, not gender identity, and the correct terminology is transsexual. Any use of the word cis in any context, as this again affects people with protected characteristics of sex and sexuality, it's profoundly homophobic. Don't do it. Right, okay. Next, any use of any acronym other than LGB in descriptive usage regarding sexuality, not LBGTQI2S plus hands, knees and bumps lady or its ilk. I love that word, ilk. Identitarian pronoun use in emails or any other context, as this indicates adherence to an ideological framework which again may breach the Equality Act and create hostile environments for same-sex attracted people and women. Stop doing it. Right. Don't engage with, as in any Stonewall or similar organisation, brackets due diligence, brackets, right? Related materials, don't use any of the materials due to misrepresentation of the law and institutional capture. Read the Rindolph report, listen to the Nolan Stonewall documentary. All the links are in the Dubras. Any references to decolonisation is an ideological undertaking that has had little scrutiny and relies on racist tropes that are wholly American in foundation. That's the next one. Followed by any EDI training that posits power and oppression narratives by group characteristics, brackets, close brackets, indicative of critical social justice indoctrination. That's the next one, okay? Next one. All references to BLM, Black Lives Matters, and related areas, for example, the works of Ibrahim X. Kendi, Robin DiAngelo, Peggy McIntosh, and Rennie Edo Lodge, which are wholly ideological. Get them out your workplace, the whole thing. You should also make sure that any reference to gender identity, which could lead to accusations of homophobia and action under the Equality Act. Gender identity is not a protected characteristic under the Equality Act 2010. Right? Imagine if we did all this. That would give them something to suck on, wouldn't it? All references to gender, which should be reviewed and replaced with the word sex in any and all documentation. Ta-da! Let's get it done. Any activity or sign of affiliation or public support of organisations such as Stonewall, the LGBT Foundation, Mermaids, and others who have not been fully investigated for critical social justice infection. Cease immediately all ally programmes and affinity groups currently existing. They must be disbanded and disaffiliated, then build processes and organisational rules to prevent reformation. This really is going to tick them off, isn't it? Eh? And also cease immediately involvement in Athena Swan, the Stonewall Equality Index, the new race charter, or any similar scheme that purports to give you a kite mark. Now, I then put in case of doubt, seek legal advice, because I have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I'll just throw it at you. Here, consider this. Consider the lilies. I just throw it at you, right? It's the same as when I'm doing the Warrior Teacher program. It's like all of this is for your consideration. That's it. I'm nobody to say that this is and this isn't. Don't this jacket and jumper make me look fat? Do you know what I either look like? I either look like Ricky Gervais in the bath, right? Don't I? Right? Brian Blessed, Gordon's alive, yeah, or Jim Royal. Oh, dear, or Ricky Doblin. So, look, there's just a few ideas there, and I thought it might be worth throwing them out there on this cold, wintry morning, which is definitely doing me a damage. So I'm gonna find a blanket and wrap up warm, I think, and sit and work in a blanket, because I'm not giving him any of my money. Don't give him any money. Pay for nothing. Take him to court. Right, okay. So I'm going to have a cup of tea. Have a look at the Substack, because you can read them then, and they make a little bit more sense when you read them rather than hear them. What have I missed? Let's do a bit of collaborative work. What have I missed? Things you'd like to add. Would you add anything? Would you take anything away? Or perhaps you might not take anything away. Perhaps you might take one away. Perhaps you might add a few. This is the way we need to go, isn't it, really? Let's just eradicate the whole damn lot. Okay, thanks very much. I hope you're not as cold as I am. Oh, God, my feet. Right, I'll see you later. Ta-ra, just right.